They moved mountains. Not metaphorically, literally. Blocks of limestone and granite, some weighing over 80 tons, were cut, transported hundreds of miles, and stacked with millimeter precision into structures that have outlasted every civilization since. For 2 centuries, we assumed brute force and sheer numbers explained it all. But a growing body of researchers now asks a different question. What if the ancient Egyptians understood something about sound that we have only recently begun to rediscover? The Great Pyramid at Giza contains an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. The largest granite slabs in the King's Chamber weigh between 25 and 80 tons, and they were placed roughly 46 meters above ground level. Modern engineers have calculated that even with today's heavy cranes and logistics infrastructure, replicating the construction timeline estimated at 20 years would be extraordinarily difficult. The conventional explanation, ramps, sleds, tens of thousands of workers, has never been satisfactorily demonstrated. Archaeologist Mark Lehner's excavations at Giza found evidence of a skilled workforce, but the sheer physics of movement remain contested. And then there are the gaps, or rather, the absence of them. The stones fit together so precisely that a sheet of paper cannot pass between them. That is not the result of rough labor. That is something else entirely. Acoustic levitation is not science fiction. It is science. In research labs today, scientists use focused ultrasonic waves to suspend water droplets, small insects, and fragile biological samples in mid-air without any physical contact. The phenomenon occurs when sound waves create pressure nodes, points of stillness, where objects can be trapped and held. The principle is well established. What researchers are now exploring is whether the ancients had intuitive or deliberate access to a scaled-up version of this same physics, using low-frequency resonance rather than ultrasound and geological formations rather than electronic transducers. Structural acoustic engineer Dr. John Stuart Reid has spent years measuring the resonant properties of Egyptian monuments. His findings are striking. The burial chambers inside the pyramids and the stone passages of temples like Karnak and Luxor exhibit remarkably consistent resonant frequencies clustering between 8 and 16 Hz. The range overlaps precisely with what researchers call infrasound, frequencies below the threshold of normal human hearing, but powerfully felt in the body and in stone. Ancient texts are not silent on the matter. The pyramid texts contain passages describing the use of spoken incantations and ritual sound to move and transform physical objects. For centuries, these were interpreted as purely spiritual metaphor. But some researchers now read them differently as technical memory encoded in mythological language to survive across generations. The words of power, or Heka, described in Egyptian priestly tradition, may have referred to specific vibrational formulae, particular combinations of tone, rhythm, and frequency that had measurable physical effects. There is a curious geological fact. Granite contains up to 60% quartz. Quartz is piezoelectric when subjected to mechanical pressure, including sound vibration. It generates an electrical charge and conversely apply an electrical or acoustic field, and quartz will vibrate in precise, predictable ways. Whether the Egyptians understood this as chemistry is unknown, but they clearly understood which stone to use and where. In 2015, a team at the University of Bristol demonstrated acoustic levitation of objects using phased arrays of ultrasonic transducers, essentially precisely orchestrated sound from multiple directions converging on a single point to create a stable pressure field. The objects levitated were small, but the mathematics scales. The frequency required decreases as the target mass increases.